Imagine two people standing in a modern city center in 2026. They both earn $100,000 per year. The first person is wearing a brand new designer jacket. He carries the latest smartphone with 3 cameras. He drives a sleek electric car with a high monthly payment. When you look at him, your brain signals success. The second person is wearing a simple cotton shirt. His phone is 3 years old, and the screen is slightly scratched. He arrives at the office on a used bicycle or a public train. When you look at him, your brain signals average. This is the first trap of human psychology. We are biologically wired to judge status through sight. In the past, visible resources meant power and safety. Today, visible resources often mean the opposite. The first man is what we call the poor visible. The second man is the wealthy invisible. They have the same income, but completely different internal patterns. Let's observe the poor visible first. Every time he receives his paycheck, his brain experiences a spike in dopamine. He feels a deep need to prove his value to the world. He views money as a tool for social signaling. He buys things that other people can see. He justifies these purchases as investments in his image. This is a form of self-deception. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. The poor visible collects liabilities that look like assets. His high-end car loses value every single day. His designer clothes have 0 resale value in 6 months. He is trading his future time for temporary social approval. He is trapped in a habit loop of earn, spend, and display. This behavior is driven by the fear of being perceived as low status. In 2026, the pressure to display status is at an all-time high. Social media algorithms reward those who look successful. The poor visible is a slave to these algorithms. Now, let's observe the wealthy invisible. He understands a fundamental truth about modern wealth. Real wealth is the collection of things you do not see. It is the money not spent on a new car. It is the index funds silently growing in a digital account. It is the ownership of productive land or a small business. The wealthy invisible does not seek validation from strangers. His brain does not crave the dopamine hit of a new purchase.
He finds satisfaction in the growth of his net worth.
He views money as a tool for buying back his time. He knows that every dollar invested today is a worker for his future. While the poor visible works for his things, the things of the wealthy invisible work for him. This is a shift from consumption to ownership. Most people believe that being wealthy means spending a lot of money. This is the central myth of our financial culture. If you spend $1 million, you have $1 million worth of things, but you no longer have the $1 million. Wealth is the cash you have not yet spent. It is the options you have not yet used. The poor visible has no options. If he stops working for 1 month, his lifestyle collapses. He is walking on a financial tightrope held up by his ego. The wealthy invisible has years of freedom stored in his accounts.
He can walk away from a job he does not like. He can spend time with his family without checking a clock. The poor visible is rich in things, but poor in time. The wealthy invisible is average in things, but rich in freedom. We must understand why the poor visible continues this pattern. It is a psychological defense mechanism against internal insecurity. He uses external objects to fill a gap in his self-worth. The more he spends, the more he needs to earn. The more he earns, the more he feels the need to display. This is a treadmill that never ends. In 2026, the cost of looking rich is higher than ever due to inflation and debt.
Interest rates on consumer debt are a tax on the impatient. The poor visible pays this tax every single month. The wealthy invisible receives this tax by owning the assets that generate interest. He is on the right side of the compound interest curve. He understands that his future self is a real person who will need resources.
The poor visible treats his future self like a stranger he will never meet. He steals from his older self to pay for the vanity of his younger self. This is a failure of long-term empathy. To become wealthy, you must become invisible to the crowd. You must be willing to look average while your bank account looks extraordinary. This requires breaking the emotional link between spending and happiness. True happiness comes from autonomy and a lack of anxiety. Anxiety is the silent partner of the poor visible. He is always one paycheck away from a crisis. He hides this anxiety behind a luxury watch. The wealthy invisible has a calm mind because he has a floor of security. He does not need to impress anyone. He owns his time, his focus, and his future. As the economy shifts toward AI and automation, ownership becomes the only safety. If you do not own the machines or the equity, you are vulnerable. The poor visible is the most vulnerable person in the room. The wealthy invisible is the most protected. One chooses the shadow of wealth. The other chooses the substance of wealth. Stop measuring success by what people show you. Start measuring success by what people have the power to do. Shift your focus from social status to personal equity. Automate your savings so your ego cannot spend them. Build a portfolio of invisible assets that produce real value.